Do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once? I am one of those melodramatic fools.
Thank you, Just Joe. Joe Altier with our theme song. This is the Jim Reith Show Unleashed podcast, episode number 68. And producer Bill and I are safely ensconced in the inner sanctum, as we try to be every Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever, because we moved it to today because the State of the Union was last night. But before we get to that, we do want to do the Yahoo of the week. Now, it was going to be the Republicans last night, but no, it's going to be the kid from Corcoran who punched the kid. This is the aftermath of it. He smacked him from behind. He sucker punched him, but he didn't punch him. He slapped him very hard from behind. Okay. He was angry about something, obviously, and chose to take it out on this kid from West Jenny, who got a concussion, by the way. But there is a photo of the kid shooting free throws on the foul line, and the whole side of his face is red and swollen already. So, I mean, have you ever watched the those slapping videos on YouTube?
I have.
The competition, you know?
Remember the one with the UFC did it? Didn't he do slap something?
It hurts, man. And, you can knock you right out.
Yes, it does knock people out.
So this was terrible, obviously. Now, if I'm the Corcoran coach, and I'm not, he's out.
Immediately.
He's out. You're out. You can come back next year and try out. But for the rest of this year, I don't know how many games are left or whatever. Are they in the playoffs? I don't know. You're out. That's it. So it's a shame. That's too bad. That's our Yahoo of the week. Now, the good guy of the week is a very good story, and actually a dog. A dog. It's a police dog in the state trooper division here, and it sniffed out like 2 or 3 pounds of coke in this guy's car. Wow. They pulled him over for a traffic stop, and I don't know why. So something, there's always something wrong with the car, or no.
I watch. I'm an avid. What do they call it now? On Patrol Live.
Yes.
They call it Live PD. They know. They know.
Yes.
The police officers know if someone's riding dirty, and I don't know how, but they figure it out.
Yeah,
and
they'll
do. Bring the dog in, and it'll be all over.
And dog went in there and sniffed out 3 pounds.
3 pounds of yayo.
Son. Oh, yayo. Son, you're going to jail for quite a while. Unless you roll on your guy, which he'll probably do. So Grant Reeher is going to join us in just a few minutes, and we'll talk about the State of the Union last night, which certainly shouldn't have been surprising to anyone. I thought that now that we've devolved the State of the Union because of what happened the last several, now you can just yell at the president or whatever. That started, before Mr. Trump was president, and then it escalated certainly after he lost the election and Mr. Biden came in, and they were yelling all kinds of stuff at him. So last night, the Democrats were yelling all kinds of stuff at Trump, and it's stupid. Signs, right? Now, the sign I don't mind, because it was silent, number one. He held it up, but the president see it. They said, okay, you got to go. You got to get out. I said, fine, okay, I'm out. The question I have, and I'll ask if we get Congressman Mannion on it, he's in meetings and stuff, but we're trying. He went. And so why did you go? And what would you do? I mean, would I have gone? That's tough. I don't know. Probably, but I wouldn't have yelled at the president. I don't like him, but I wouldn't have yelled at him.
I liked Elizabeth Warren's explanation. I wanted him to lie to my face.
Yeah, and he certainly did that more than 70 times, according to some fact checkers. 72 was the last.
Now, for about 55 minutes, he kept it together.
Right.
He was regular, Trump.
Yes.
Obviously, he was saying whatever he wanted. But then
once the
Olympic
hockey team, he brought them out. That was very nice. And some of the other stuff, and I want to see the girl again that's going to Liberty University. Evidently, she was going to be trans, and then what? She did this when they were on her. She did that. What is that?
I don't know.
I want to know what that is. That's what she did. That was weird, I thought. But he did a lot of that, right? So that's what every president does, but he did way more of it than any other president, since it was the longest speech ever for State of the Union. But then he did lose it. He did go off the rails. And once he went off the rails, holy cow.
Now, off to the races.
This whole thing about people are saying to me, Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take all this winning. I was like, okay, that's it.
Yeah. And how many billions of dollars out of Minnesota?
Yeah. Wow. And the whole Minneapolis Somalia thing is just complete crap. And it's just, the whole thing is just awful. So it's what we expected, though. You didn't get anything you didn't expect. And that's interesting because usually State of the Union, and we'll talk about this with Grant, State of the Union gives you a bump in approval rating after you give the speech. I don't know if it did that today. I haven't checked it out.
I didn't check out the stock market. How was the stock market?
I did not check that either.
Usually that goes a little bit up too.
Yeah, it does. Right. And he touted that the stock market was up under his watch, and it is. And he touted the 50,000 mark, and it was. It's not now, but it was. And, under Biden administration, the stock market set a jillion records, and I'm sure it will continue to do so. So what a president has to do with that, I'm not sure, but okay. I mean, you could take credit for that because it's a fact. It is. It's way up and it's doing well. But don't tell me gasoline prices are down, and certainly don't tell me that energy prices are down. That was the biggest insult last night, that energy prices are plunging. Really? Talk to one person in the Northeast. Talk to 100,000 people in the Northeast, and they'll all say the same thing.
We went.
They're through the roof.
We apparently did the. This is part of my wife's job in the house to worry about that, Bill. We were doing the budget plan apparently, and we got a letter this week, and that even went.
No kidding.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, our heating bill last month was absurd. I'm not even going to get into what it was, but it was absurd. So don't stand there and tell me energy prices are going down when every single person in this country knows they're not. People I know ignore that stuff, but it just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up. And the next major thing that happens is really going to show how far his his influence over Congress has faded. So we'll see the next major fight that comes up, which is coming up relatively soon.
It's got to be Iran, right?
It's one of them. I think, they still haven't funded DHS, even though that was misleading because ICE and DHS are funded a different way. And that funding was already guaranteed. So he just completely lied about that too. I don't know. It's a shame. It's too bad we are where we are, but we are. And so now we have to figure out ways to make sure that we can get out of it when the time comes. Midterms are certainly crucial. We have to have them or we're done as a country. If we don't have the midterms, we're done as a country. And then the military is going to have to make a decision and, it's going to be a mess. So let's hope that we do have midterms after all. We are going to talk a lot about later, Bill and I, about what's going on at Galaxy Media, which is really scary and a shame. Ed Levine is the owner of Galaxy Media, part owner of Galaxy Media and of the entertainment company. And the entertainment company is having problems, which means that all of Galaxy is having problems. And these are local people that are employed by Galaxy. And to Ed's credit, he's done that for a very, very long time. Now, those of us in the business know that Ed has a very bad reputation among some of his former employees. Okay, that did not end well, and there's a lot of people out there who don't like Ed.
Now you never worked for him, right?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Briefly. I did post game shows for SU football and basketball on their AM station. One of the stations. I don't even remember which ones. But the way that you had to do it was you had to be a subcontractor. So you got a 1099 and all that. Yeah. No, I did that for a year and I'm like, I got slaughtered in taxes. I'm like, no, that's it. No, I'm not doing that. But yes. And he treated me great. I had never had a problem with him. And we would sit in his office and talk about, the 80s and stuff. And I had no problem with him, but there are a lot of people who do. And that's just a fact. And I think Ed would admit to that, but so there's a possibility that, one of the companies is going bankrupt we don't want to spread rumors or anything, but it's just a bad look. And it's just, we have a lot of friends over there and some people have been let go already. And that's how you really kind of cut costs, is cut payroll because of, all the other things that go along with hiring somebody with health insurance.
And there's a lot of people in Galaxy that are lifetime radio people.
Yes, there are. Yep.
A lot of them.
Yes, a lot of our friends too.
Yeah.
And this is you're talking about salespeople too, and managers. They've been there for a very long time. And Ed, I mean, it's just it's his whole life. So
I inadvertently work for him when I play one of the events, and I always have had I've always had a good experience with. Not many with Ed. It's more Pam that I've dealt with.
Sure.
But they've always been, to me, but I've never really
Pam's
had to
great.
sit there for, 8 hours a day.
Right. I mean, I've never had a problem with the guy. A lot of people have. I can just go by my own experience. He was fine to me. Gomez seems to like him. He's been there forever. So Lisa, those guys have all been around forever. So Rick DiUlio, our friend Rick DiUlio. Yep. So we worry for them, of course, and we worry for the industry as it erodes further because, we gave a large portion of our life to that industry. So I hope it recovers, and I hope that they can figure something out. I really do.
Well, those are two, the two main ones are Taste of Syracuse and the Syracuse Nationals. And
right.
That brings in a lot of revenue.
Yeah, it does.
Into this.
Well, another thing too, and you mentioned this, and it's true. They also employ a lot of local musicians.
Yeah.
A lot of local bands played both of those events, and to their credit, they've always made sure that happened.
I mean, there's 3 stages at one time. There was 3 stages at Taste of Syracuse, and they'd book a Everclear or Loverboy, for one night at the main stage, but everything else would be regional and local acts all day long, starting at noon.
Yeah,
you see Joe up there at 1 o'clock playing his stuff, lunchtime. It's we need this stuff.
Yes. We do. And it gives people something to do. It's quality of life issue for downtown Syracuse. It draws thousands and thousands of people to downtown.
And then you got to look at, this event's drawing thousands and thousands of people. Where's this money going to?
Right. Right. That's a whole other thing. So that's what they're looking at now, right?
Yes.
What's happening, what's going on. I guess he took $1 million loan out and defaulted on it, supposedly. We could say allegedly defaulted on it, but this is part of a lawsuit now. And so it'll make its way through the courts, and nothing ever happens quickly in that realm. So we'll have to wait and see, but hopefully, so you probably figure K-Rockathon is out, right?
I mean,
yeah, I would have to think so.
Bands are expensive today.
Yes.
Even the ones that they get at K-Rockathon, all because of casinos will pay for anybody.
Yep.
They'll pay as much as, and so you got a band like Hoobastank who maybe 5 or 10 years ago would have charged $5,000 or $10,000. Now they're
50?
up to 15,
25?
25,000. I know in one instance, because of the fair and just how things run, Sharky's had 38 special at Sharky's, and he paid X amount of dollars. Well, the next year it doubled.
Wow.
Because they had done a casino run, and they were going to play the fair. There's things doubled. Wow.
How much was it to get in to see them?
It was cheap, like 30, 25, 30 bucks.
Wow.
35 bucks.
I'd see them.
Yeah.
At Sharky's. Be loud. Be really loud. Although it'd be outside, right? Was it outside or?
Oh, yeah. It's under the pavilion in the event center.
Okay.
And then we got another one of those now with the Haven. They just the Wild.
Oh, right. Okay.
He's got a beautiful wedding venue and amphitheater that they're going to make even bigger. They just announced July 4th, Buck Cherry.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They got Montgomery Gentry's going to be there.
Really?
A friend of mine who's involved in the booking just told me somebody they're ready to get, and it's a good rock act from the 90s.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yep.
And they have the Ridge, right?
Yep.
Another outdoor place, amphitheater type thing. They specialize mostly in local, tribute stuff, which is really good, actually.
I did a Woodstock.
Did you?
One and sang some Who stuff.
Nice. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of good stuff out there, too.
Speaking of tunes, it's that time of year.
Right.
Where everybody complains and says, that's not rock and roll. But
now, there's a lot of people, to me, that are just right on the edge. You know what I mean? And then
this
there's
year,
some who are not. I mean, Joy Division, New Order, come on. New Edition, no. Oasis, no.
Not yet.
Right. Sade, no. Oh, Pink, yeah. I would say
good.
Pink.
I'm a huge fan.
Yes. Luther, absolutely.
I think he deserves his own wing.
Absolutely.
How he became who he was is cool. He was the
Yes.
backup singer, went to the studio, became a studio singer, and there won't ever be a voice like his
No.
ever again.
Oh man, no. Yeah, so he's in. I like Melissa Etheridge being in
Yep.
because of not just because of her music, but because of the LGBTQ stuff that she has promoted for a very long time. Phil Collins, I mean, he's already in with Genesis,
He's in.
right?
He's in.
So he'll get in. I know he'll get in. Mariah Carey's going to get in.
I'm surprised Jeff Buckley's not in yet.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough for him because people don't know who he is, and he's ridiculously good.
And he's such a inspiration for a ton of musicians.
Yeah, In Excess, I think, was too short-lived for me.
I didn't get that one.
Yeah,
and I always say this too. I always say this. Why would Iron Maiden be a Hall of Fame band? You know, they were almost like a cult kind of thing. Now I love them. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, but weren't they look like third level type metal band? Like you had the top level, well, maybe it's second level or whatever.
I think the second. I think your Metallica's.
Yeah,
you know, that realm was up there. And then probably, but they weren't like, I don't know.
They weren't dominant.
I'm not mad that they're on the list.
What about Billy Idol? It's kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, that could go either way.
Yeah,
he's still going. And he sounds great.
Yeah, he does. He is still going.
I saw him a few years ago when he opened up for Bryan Adams.
And the Rockstar commercials, I think, are hilarious.
Yes.
That he's in. Those are really funny. So yeah, that list is very, very interesting. Lauryn Hill, again. I mean, Lauryn Hill is like for intellectual music listeners. She's a genius. But is she? Yeah, and is she like big enough to be in a Hall of Fame? I don't know about that.
I was in Las Vegas, and she was playing a rooftop concert, and it wasn't a.
Did you see it?
And yes, it was like 3 hours late though.
Oh.
It was like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m.
Oh, don't you hate that?
Yeah, she was. But I mean, it's listening to that voice live.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and I loved the Fugees because I loved Wyclef. But
yes.
Maybe it's too early for her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see who gets in. So these are just first timers, right?
No. Iron Maiden's been on the list before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. These are just the nominees. These are the now everybody goes and votes on the website, and then there's a committee that comes up with it. I think Iron Maiden has actually said we don't want anything to do with it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. But we'll see. I get it. It's, music, it's the Music Hall of Fame. It's the way it's always been. The first class was James Brown, so it's not like this is just overnight. Now they're just
I don't know why they called it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I guess for marketing purposes or whatever, but it should just be the Popular Music Hall of Fame or whatever. I mean, are people like Sinatra in it? Like old timers or whatever? Is there an old timer wing?
I think so.
I would think so.
Because at one time Frank Sinatra, that music was considered. Well, not really.
Oh, it was pop. It was definitely pop
music.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm reading a biography of Sinatra. It's 700 pages long. He's nuts, or he was. He was nuts.
Oh, he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
He's not. No. He should be. They should have a wing for the early
crooners.
The crooners, right. Crosby was the king when Sinatra was coming up. Sinatra took over for him eventually, but it took a very long time. But Sinatra, to call him eccentric or quirky is putting it very, very mildly. And he was obsessed with Ava Gardner.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, they married. He left his wife. Well, we'll get to this later. We'll talk about this some other time because we got a guest that we had to get in here and talk about the State of the Union last night. Our official political analyst, Grant Reeher from the Maxwell School at Syracuse University, is here.
And he said, can I wear a sweatshirt? I said, sweatshirt is the approved attire for the program.
It is. Absolutely. You're right in the dress code, so it's no problem. Can you hear us, Grant? No. Okay, so we're gonna go through this again. Nope, still can't hear. Go ahead and.
We can't hear you.
No.
Go out and come back in.
Yep.
All right. So go ahead and talk about Frank. Ava Gardner.
So yes, he left his wife Nancy, with whom he had 3 children, and married Ava Gardner, and they only were married for 2 years, and the entire 2 years, all they did was get hammered and fight, and I mean really fight, and they're both alcoholics, and so but she left him finally and goes to Europe. Blah blah. He goes down to 118 pounds. He was 5'6", and 118 pounds because he's so obsessed over her and just can't get over her. It's just then he meets his last wife. And
Is this
everything's
newer
fine.
or is it older?
It's a newer biography, but it's about it's going to end, I think, right when he takes off in the 60s, I think.
Oh, so it's before he became.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's
that's
everything. Yeah, it
awesome.
starts in a very, very,
love
very
that.
beginning.
I
Yeah,
like
you
that.
would love this, but
Yeah.
it's a long read, even for me, and I read fast. So it's great though. It's very detailed. Want to try him again?
Try him again.
Can you hear us, Grant? Nope, can't hear him.
All right, I'm pulling him out. Yeah, they should have some kind of wing.
So Frank was a germaphobe. Washed his hands constantly, like Howard Hughes did. He would shower 3 times a day, no matter what. And then when he got nervous or anxious, which was a lot early on, he would wash his hands even more.
Wow.
So it's really eye-opening what he went through, and all that. Jimmy Van Heusen from Syracuse, who becomes one of the greatest songwriters of all time. The people he hung around with are like the greatest songwriters and the greatest arrangers of all time. And that's who he hung around with. And that's one reason he was so great.
And he had the voice, and that's all he needed.
Oh, and he knew what he was doing. I mean, many times, Nelson Riddle is probably the best arranger for Frank Sinatra ever. Sometimes Sinatra would push him off the podium when they were recording and direct the orchestra himself.
Have they ever done a Sinatra movie?
I don't think so.
They
Not
need to do a Sinatra movie.
Yeah,
like they're doing with Michael.
They also kind of blew up the whole myth about the Maggio thing and the From Here to Eternity, that the mob was involved with it when they really weren't.
Let's see if Grant's.
Try it again.
Let's try again. Hey!
There was there's a weird toggle switch that I never see. I'm sorry. So
all right. Let's talk about the State of the Union last night. As
Sure.
I was talking about earlier, really nothing surprising to me at all. Everything we expected him pretty much to say, and he kept it together for, as Bill said, like 55 minutes, and then he went off the rails.
Well, actually, I was very surprised by it in the following way. I thought that it was probably the best speech he's delivered as president so far. And I agree that in the second half, he got a lot more aggressive and there were a lot more barbs that he was giving out to the Democrats. But I thought that the speech actually was quite thematic. And given that it went on for so long, but that he tied it into almost every point he made, even the points about the economy and the points about security, he tied everything back into an argument about immigration.
Yes.
Now, we can agree or disagree about his views on that, and we can certainly, a lot of people would disagree about the tactics that his administration has used on this. But nonetheless, I thought it was very, relative to his other speeches as president, very coherent. And
that's a pretty low bar.
Well, yeah, it could be. But I thought when he was done, I thought, well, that's the best speech he's given as president. And there were some others I noticed this morning that had the same reaction. I also thought this. I thought that some of the optics that he or his team set up for the Democrats landed. I thought that the Democrats ended up looking pretty bad in a couple instances.
Yes.
The worst one was, I think, two that really struck me that were bad. One was when he said everybody who thinks that we ought to put citizens before immigrants who are here in the country illegally, or however he phrased it,
right,
stand up. And no Democrats stood up.
Right.
That just didn't look good.
No,
I understand where they're coming from. And I understand where the Democrats are coming from.
Yep.
They don't want to participate. They don't want to participate in that. Then the other one was when he was bringing in these different, either victims of crimes or the veterans or the hockey team, he brought, I forget which one it was, but there was one of those where the Democrats didn't stand up for that person. And it just didn't look good again.
Yeah.
And Trump pointed it out. And so I think those were setups, obviously, but they worked. And so, I think the Democrats that probably stayed away from the whole speech itself were the smartest ones.
Right. And I guess, do you think, though, that this speech is in any way effective in giving him a bump, which comes after most State of the Unions?
It'll probably give him a bump. I'll be curious to see. The question is how many people saw it, how many people stayed up past 10 o'clock. And in that instance, then they're just getting the media sort of summaries and digests and spins afterwards.
Right.
But one thing I would say is, regardless of whether he gets a bump or whether there's some temporary effect of this, I don't see it having any effect on the midterms at all.
No.
They're a long time away, first of all. And second of all, you don't win or lose a midterm by persuading people in the middle. The midterm elections are usually about what is the level of energy and enthusiasm among your vote turnout. Exactly. Yeah. Among your base and among people that would, if they're not part of your base, then you usually identify with you. I don't think the speech is going to do anything for that. It may make some of the Republicans feel a little more jazzed, a little more confident about where they are. But unless something big turns around, all the indicators are that the midterms are not going to go well for their party.
Right. And like you said, and I tried to tell people this all the time, the distance between where we are now and the midterms in politics, that's a lifetime. I mean, that's months away. Anything could happen to change. Right. Although I don't see anything happening that changes things for the Republicans in a huge way. It could be the Democrats get another huge bump by something that happens. I mean, the margin is so small right now in the House that they can't lose like another one or two. And one of them is one of the guys from Texas, right? It's already under investigation for sexual misconduct. And that's going to be another guy they lose. It's so close already that the agenda is going to slow down to nothing practically. And then, then what happens is my fear. What happens if Trump understands we're going to get slaughtered? So,
well, here's one way in which first of all, there's going to be very little chance that the Republicans hang on to the majority, and history just tells us that. Now I know that when Trump is president, we have to kind of throw previous election history out the window, but nonetheless, there's nothing here that would suggest anything otherwise. Here is, though, I will give you a scenario in which the Republicans could make up some ground. It's there. And Trump alluded to it last night. First of all, one of the things that I think a lot of analysts undervalue is the effect of what happens to people's 401ks.
Yes.
More and more people have those, and those accounts are growing. Trump was very clear early on to emphasize that. And he said, whatever, the average family's balance has gone up $5,000 or whatever he said. But people are watching those. Okay, that's the first thing. Yep. The second thing is, the one big beautiful bill did have some tax cuts in it, and he enumerated those again. It gave some misinformation about one of them, about Social Security no longer being taxed. That's not exactly what's going on.
No.
Seniors are going to get a big tax credit, and it depending on their income level, and that is what he's referring to there. But it's this: after people file their income taxes in the next couple months, and they begin to see those things, if they are feeling them, that could help. If I mean, Jim, I think you and I are in the same boat here, age-wise.
Yes.
If we feel that difference, then there are going to be people that are going to remember that. And so that's something that could work in his favor. Now, normally tax cuts don't buy you votes. It's tax increases cost you votes, and promising tax cuts will often get you votes. But the experience of tax cuts historically doesn't necessarily get you a lot of votes. But this could be a moment where people might say, hey, my 401k, if the stock market keeps going up, my 401k, added 5, 10, 50, whatever the amount is to begin with, is going to be the size of your increase. And I got this bump in my taxes that I clearly associate with the Republican Party. That might be a recipe to help them a little bit.
I agree with that. And then if Trump does send out $2,000 checks or whatever, that's also going to help. There's no question. Now, if this were a movie, I'd have a bunch of guys in the White House saying, look, we're going to make the economy so bad that then we're going to ride in and fix it and make it all great right before the midterms, and we're going to ride away with the win. That's not a movie, so I don't think there's anybody smart enough in that White House to do that. But I agree with you. It's always about the economy. It's always about, when I go to vote, how much money do I have, and how worried am I about what's coming up? Okay.
Yeah, and then the other issue is the inflation, obviously, and he talked about that. And it is true that the inflation rate has come down.
Yes.
Now, there are all sorts of reasons for that, having to do with the Federal Reserve and the way that they reacted to that period of sort of hot growth, and just the natural cooling off of that period post-COVID, when prices went up, and during COVID when prices went up.
Right.
But nonetheless, the fact that the inflation rate has come down is not going to really help, because that's a rate of increase. So all the inflation that we have experienced, and he wants to blame on Biden, people are just going to be experiencing it still.
Yes.
And so that's why you heard him last night say, "Oh, gas is so cheap." Not in New York. I don't, it's $3 a gallon here. But anyway, I don't know where he's getting $1.85 in Iowa, but I'd like to see that gas station. But he that's why he was so keen to like take specific examples of actual prices, because the rate isn't going to help him if people are still experiencing
it won't.
Prices are experiencing.
Yeah, because no one understands it anyway. No one understands how inflation is even measured. All they understand is, I go to the grocery store and I'm getting hammered. I go to the gas station, I'm getting hammered. I go to a restaurant, I'm getting hammered. That's what everybody knows.
And that's why I think this issue of how people experience these tax cuts in the next couple months as they begin to file their taxes, and how in particular seniors experience this tax credit that they're going to get just by the fact that they are the age they are, that could have some impact on this.
The one thing that we're really not talking about, we did mention Social Security, and how really what he was talking about last night is not reality at all. I had one more thing I wanted to ask you about, and now I can't remember what it was. But I agree with you in that, if the economy does continue to be okay, or get to that point, if people do get a bigger refund, if they do get $2,000 in a check, that could help in the midterms, especially in districts that are, on the edge, like it could go either way, toss-ups, in other words.
Right. Yes. And then, what I found interesting was the tiptoeing around and what we didn't hear about certain things. For example, he did talk about Iran, but didn't spend very much time on that, and didn't get into any kind of detail about what the United States might do. One thing we do know is there's zero appetite in the public right now for any kind of commitment of, I think, land troops in that area of the country or anywhere in the world right now. We still are recovering from Iraq in a way. And I don't, so that would be something that could go either way, it seems to me. And the other thing that we didn't hear a lot about was the actual tactics of ICE. We heard a lot about the evils of immigration, but there was no explicit defense of, and this is why our ICE and our Border Patrol are doing what they're doing in the communities where they've been. And one of the things that I see here is that, and we saw this in upstate New York, when a community experiences this directly, the opinions on it really shift. I mean, you saw that here. I mean, the opinions here about this really galvanized after that raid in Cato on that, I think it was a candy plant and a candy making plant. And so once people experience it in their backyard, it seems like that really changes things. So the more different places that ICE goes into, I think that this is just going to keep multiplying that problem for him about the tactics that they're using.
I agree completely. Grant, thanks so much for your time. You've been very generous today. I appreciate it very much. And
it's always a pleasure.
No question. We'll talk soon again.
You bet.
We'll see you.
Grant Reeher from the Maxwell School. Awesome. I saw Mr. Mannion there for a second.
Yeah, I think he froze and pulled back out, but he wasn't supposed to come on for another few minutes anyway. So maybe he saw the clock or whatever.
Could be. All right.
I'm glad that he's got the time for us, because I know he's very busy today.
Yes.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure he hasn't slept at all.
Right.
because everybody's coming after him.
And Grant is awesome as always.
No,
And I agree completely with the fact that, if the $2,000 checks get sent out, if the refunds are bigger, and they should be, it'll be interesting. It could, in some of the districts, it could be very interesting. But because there's so much time before the midterms, I think there's so much time for him to screw up and do something really stupid that I think that will probably be the case. And so should be very, very interesting. But Grant did make some very good points. And the president did. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you.
I'm mentioning Congressman trying to set up his thing.
I'll tell you, that first hour, I even said to my wife, I said, he's holding it together.
Yeah, he did. And
I mean, obviously what he's saying, he was whatever. You agree with him or you don't.
But he was high energy and he was involved and he was, so it was a very, very good
then it's
speech.
like as soon as that hockey team came out, the energy came up. And so he thought it was time to, once he goes off of that script.
Right.
And boy,
anything
the
can
first
happen.
5 minutes of him on that teleprompter too. Him getting used to that. Whoa. My fellow Americans.
You think, all right, you think we're ready to add?
Let's see what you're doing.
All right. So Congressman John Mannion is joining us right now, and we're so honored to have you here, Congressman. And I know you were in attendance last night. Can you give us our thoughts on the State of the Union?
I was there. Thank you. I hope you can hear me, Jim.
Yeah, sounds great.
I hope I don't have any technical problems here, which could happen, as you saw as I was joining. So listen, I heard a little bit of what you said there, which is there's a lot of things we can agree on. And in the beginning, I heard things about affordability, which, again, I don't think the president has gone and really attacked those things the way that they should be attacked. We heard a lot about things like home ownership and also something that I'm supportive of, and I don't trade stocks. And I think in a world where we need to be able to trust our government, having a stock trading ban would be a good thing. Then it did shift, then it did turn. It turned darker. It turned divisive. It turned less truthful, I would say. So. Yeah. I've got a lot to say, but I want to say this, and I probably have said it on your show before. I sit in a room with that night, there's people from the Supreme Court, from the cabinet, and also from the Senate. But for those that are elected, there's basically 535 of us there. We've all been elected to office, and every single person there knows that our elections are valid, that they're triple checked, that they are typically run in a bipartisan manner, that voter fraud really does not exist, that people who are not citizens of this country are not voting, and that the penalties for voter fraud are very severe. So of all my takeaways, and I was pretty confident that this would happen, was that the president would double down on that. And that is so dangerous to our democracy. You hear me saying it, every single elected member of the House and the Senate should be saying that. They know it's wrong. I don't have a lot of faith that the president is going to tell the truth or is going to, not act in a vindictive way against people that oppose him. But I do expect it from my colleagues. I do, because they know better and they know how dangerous this is. And it's irresponsible for the president to say it. It's irresponsible for everyone else to sit silently. And between now and November 3rd, I'm going to continue to say that in every forum that I can, that it's very dangerous to our democracy. We could talk about the SAVE Act. Whether the SAVE Act passes or not, and I have details on that, the distrust that is being sowed right now and has been for about 10 years is very dangerous, and people know better. So I want them to do the right thing.
Well, tell me about the SAVE Act.
So the SAVE Act, this is not good for video. I've got to go plug in here. That was why I had to turn my image to the side. But the SAVE Act is basically a voter ID bill, and we all have to get registered to vote, and we show documents that allow for that it show U.S. citizenship when we do that. So it's like, what's the big deal? Voter ID. But the big deal is that part of that SAVE Act is that you have to show U.S. citizenship. A New York State issued real ID is not good enough for that. People who have had their names changed, particularly married women, people who, change their name voluntarily, they're going to have to show U.S. citizenship. And you go, okay, well, if you really want to vote, you should be able to do that. But it takes extra time, extra effort, extra money. And part of that provision is also a purging of the voter rolls.
Oh,
So people could very well show up on election day and say, you're not a registered voter.
oh.
And they would go, how is that the case? But this is part of the reality of it. Our mail-in voting that happens in this state and others works very well. Our elections are run in a professional way. This is all, very dangerous. And honestly, when it comes to showing U.S. citizenship like a United States passport, only about half the country has that. And honestly, if you look at the numbers that are out there, fewer Republicans at this point in our country's history have it. So, am I trying to kick Republicans off the?
We're going to lose him. All right, go ahead and drop him down. He can try to rejoin us if he possibly can. But I'm just happy to have him on. I want to know if we can get him back, if it works. I want to know what it was like and what was going on with the Democrats in the chamber. I mean, I want to know what that was like for the people who were there.
He's back. We got him back.
All right. So here's what I want to know, Congressman. What was it like to sit there and have to take what you took with the other Democrats in the chamber? What was it like between all of you when all of this was going on?
Yeah, I was sitting next to another sort of freshman named Gil Cisneros, and I started to crack a couple comments early on, still trying to be respectful of the position that I'm in the room that I'm in. And he and I are friends, but he's like, I'm not as funny as you. I can't keep up. So that was one thing. About a quarter, maybe a little bit less of the conference chose not to attend.
Right.
And, there was a couple moments there where I go, there's a reason why people said, don't go, John. When I'm called crazy, I'm not a crazy person. I care about this country. I care about the community that I represent. The divisiveness of calling an entire party crazy is unhealthy for our own stability as a country and trust in our government. And you can criticize Democratic policies, you can criticize my votes, we can have policy differences, but you don't see many members of our political establishment doing something like that. And then back to voter fraud or lack thereof.
Right.
To say that it is rampant and that our policies are so unpopular that we have to cheat. Well, I don't know how we got a House and a Senate and a White House that has Republican majorities and a Republican president. Because if that's the case, I could be out there perpetuating that lie, but I know better. I know it's not true, so I'm not going to say it. And that's tough. So listen, some folks chose not to be there. I was respectful throughout. I stood up for the U.S. hockey team, for the members of the military, active and retired, that were honored. That was, I think we could all agree, we watched that and it reminded us of our moments of our youth when we said that is where we may disagree, but still we put this country truly first. And, that's where I was. The vibe was, it was drawn out. You saw my Tom Swazi got hit up a little bit because he took a little snooze or closed his eyes. But it was, and then his comment on that I found funny, which was like, I often fall asleep during reruns. So,
Congressman, quick question. The states that now have voter ID implemented all have some sort of system in place where there is a free ID available for people to vote.
Okay.
Has this been brought up to take if the other states want? I think I want to say something like 30 states that have some sort of ID system in place. Has that been talked about to implement that system?
You know, there has been conversations about that. People should, you know, if we're one word I didn't use is poll tax. So if I need a passport, or I need to go get a certain form of ID that shows that I'm a U.S. citizen, that is a poll tax. The card itself, like, you know, am I more agreeable to that? Yeah, absolutely. Let's give everybody a card, a voting card. Now, what if you forget that voting card on election day? I'm not sure. And I can only speak to my own experience, which is, you know, I go in to vote, and somebody said to me the other day, go try to vote illegally and see how that goes for you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
And they're
No
right
thanks.
about that. So that is a piece of it. But what I want, and we don't have it in this country, you know, in a presidential year, we might get, and I will say this, what Donald Trump has done, more people have been voting since he has been in the political sphere. And that is a good thing. That is a good thing.
I agree.
Get up to 70% voting in a presidential year or so. 30% are still not voting. I do want it easier to vote. And I also, winning an election by 10 votes, losing an election by, you know, 2% of the votes. I got to watch hand recounts and absentee recounts, so I know that it works, and I want people to vote. And if I don't win, so be it. So I do think that it is still a barrier to voting. And if we had rampant, widespread voter fraud, I would say we got to do something. And I don't want that, so I would do something about it. But it is being used as a tactic.
Yeah, it is.
And that's my problem.
I agree completely, and
they think we're stupid. That's the funny part. They think we're stupid that they're not trying to suppress the vote.
Right.
Well, they think we're dumb.
It's got to be free. It has to be free.
Yes.
If you're going to have an ID card, make it a national ID card, whatever. Just make it free. Otherwise, it's a poll tax, and people don't understand when I say that it'd be the same thing as if you went to the polling place and said, "Sure, you can vote. Give me $25."
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You can't do that.
I have a license that allows me to get into 2 other countries by land, but I can't vote with that license.
Vote with that, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. And
Ridiculous.
listen, if you don't hear the whole argument, of course it's a good argument. Of course it is. But we don't have the voter fraud that was, again, litigated in the 2020, post-2020 election. 60 cases were brought, minimum, were brought to a variety of different courts. And there was no justification for any voter fraud. I mean, people went to jail as a result of that. And people were sued and were found liable of some of the things that were said and done as a result of it. It's hard for me to believe that we're back here. Again, I would take a lot of elected Republicans to lead this country or lead the House, whatever it is, and work together on real solutions for people. But to have a grudge about losing an election to somebody who he thought he was more fit than, the American people spoke. That was litigated and went through the judicial process and found to be a valid election. And we should move on from it and really work on things like making sure people can live in this country and have a good life.
Absolutely.
And not paying 3 times the amount for energy.
Yes. John, thanks for your time as always. Congressman, it's such an honor to have you on, and thanks for your candid reaction to what happened last night. We appreciate you.
I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to going back and watching and listening to the podcast later and see what was said in the 35 seconds I was off the air.
Thank you, Congressman.
We'll see you later.
That's great. Yeah, he's spectacular. So that's awesome.
And that's cool because we were trying to figure out a way because he didn't know if he was going to be somewhere.
Yeah, that was
had
great.
to use the phone. I tried to figure out a phone number thing, couldn't figure it out. So because I gave him the there's instructions that he could just use audio with our program.
Right,
but
sure.
we have the whole thing, and that's good.
No,
That's
that
great.
was great. Yep.
But he's absolutely right. That first hour, and then you just once the energy got up, and then the insults start.
Right.
Yep.
I'm sure it was difficult to sit there and listen to it. Although if you don't have respect for someone who's insulting you, then it's not an insult.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. You sit there. I would have gone, I think. Not having listened to that, I would have gone. I would not have yelled at the
No,
president.
no.
You know, I don't think you should do that. But I would have stood up when I thought it was appropriate to stand up, and I probably would have stood up for most of it, not all of it.
I found it funny when he shook John Fetterman's hand.
Yeah, that was funny.
But then I
Most
don't
people
believe
don't
he
know it.
stood up at all.
No, and what else is interesting, he shook the Chief Justice's hand briefly and blew by the other three.
Yep.
Didn't shake hands with them at all. So that was interesting too. But, you know, I'm sure they could care less.
Nope.
You know, it's like when you don't respect someone, who cares if they insult you? It shouldn't mean anything to you. And most of those people do not respect. They respect the office, but they certainly don't respect the man. And that's why they were there last night. They respect the office and the traditions and the whole thing. I like the whole traditions of it. I agree with Chris Cuomo. He did a whole thing about, he likes the whole pomp and circumstance and the whole, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the United States, all that. I like that too. I mean, that's part of our government. But
start watching a half hour before so you can get all that.
That's right. We watch Cuomo every night now because I like Cuomo.
I do too.
He is, though. Boy, he has got the ego the size of the
yeah.
whole building.
Boy, when him and Bill O'Reilly get in the same room and Steve Smith, holy cow.
Yeah, I don't even know how all three heads can fit in the same room because those guys are, although I love Stephen A. Smith. I like him when he's not yelling and when he's, you know, really trying to debate. I like him like that. I like him as Brick on General Hospital. Do you know he's an actor?
Yep.
He's Brick in General Hospital. We watch General Hospital every day too. We tape it and watch
Boy,
it.
that's got to be 50 years old.
Yeah,
now,
it is. Yep. And a lot of the original cast has passed away, unfortunately.
Yep.
And now there's a new generation. But
as Rick Springfield started out there.
yes, it's so terrible that it's like enjoyable. I mean, it really is. It's interesting.
What time is that on now during the day?
I don't even know. We tape it and we watch it when we
used to be like the prime time or the
it was one of the big ones.
afternoon soap operas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Days of Our Lives, Guiding Light.
Yep.
General Hospital.
Days of Our Lives,
Yep.
like sands through the hourglass. These are the days of our lives.
Some of the worst acting in the history of television.
Yes, but now to watch it now it's fun because we've seen these people for so many years. It's just interesting to do. But people are getting old on that show too, you know. And plus, you had little kids when they started, and they stay with the same role over the years, and now they're like 20 years old. It's crazy. It's crazy to watch. But anyway, what else are you watching?
What kind
lately?
of budget those shows get?
Yeah,
days?
you know,
I'd like to look into that.
it's. I mean, they can make, you know, the actors having been there for so long, you get paid depending on your screen time. And so they limit screen times, right, for certain people because you're paying them so much because they've been there for 30 years. Excuse me. You have to kind of limit. So when you don't see every single cast member every single day, that's why they pay them per how many hours they're on, or how many minutes they're on screen. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've just watched, me and the true crime documentaries.
Yep.
There's one called The Yogurt Shop Murders on HBO Max. And it's, I want to say Emma Stone is one of the executive producers on it. It is a documentary about a murder of 4, I think, high school kids that worked at a yogurt shop in Texas. And I think the person who was writing, the filmmaker, started it as a story about people getting wrongfully convicted, and it turned into the whole thing turned into a story because there was so much like wrongdoing.
Sure.
With the evidence and stuff, because it's happened in 91, so you don't have all that. So it's actually one of the people that were convicted of it overturned in 2008. He's out.
Really?
But it was supposed to go back and be litigated again, and that's how it ended. That these everything's up. They still don't know who did it. These people.
Really?
Yeah, they have an idea that it could be one of these, but
they can't prove it.
Right.
Wow. We watched the Michael Jackson documentary.
This is it.
Multi-part.
Oh yeah. About the last 30 minutes.
Really good.
Yeah.
What else? I wanted to mention something else that we were watching, but
I didn't. I
jumped right out of my head.
Last week I binged a lot of Olympics because I was.
Yes.
It was spring. It was winter break, so I was.
It was
home
great. The hockey game was
that
awesome.
game Sunday, or the ladies on Friday, and
Both games awesome.
both games unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm running around.
Great hockey.
And then I watched some of the closing ceremonies. I always like that closing.
I'll say this: I think the president had no idea that the men's Olympic hockey team are all NHL players. I bet he had zero idea.
You think so?
Yep. I think he thinks that they're all like amateurs still or whatever. Yep. They're all NHL players. Then he gave the goalie the Medal of Freedom. Now, so I did want to talk about this. I'm glad I remembered that. The Medal of Freedom is the highest civilian honor that you can get.
That's correct.
Okay. So over the years, it kind of degraded into, now we're going to give it to celebrities and all this other stuff.
Rush Limbaugh has
Rush Limbaugh. So to me, it's cheapened. It's been cheapened, and not just by this and not by Limbaugh, but
everybody's
way
done it,
before
yes.
that. Okay. So I guess if you're going to, why not? I mean,
I think he deserves it more than Limbaugh.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. So good for him. I think that's
Yep.
great. I really do.
And I think, by the way it sounded by the speech, he asked the team first if they'd be okay with it.
Oh, okay.
And it was unanimous,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And Connor Hellebuck looks like he could be the nicest guy in the world,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Got his
Man,
teeth smashed.
That's John.
Oh, the other kid. Yeah, right.
Now he plays for my team, the Devils.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Who's the goalie play for?
Terrible team, St. Louis.
Oh.
That's why he's not. He's their best player.
Oh.
Some of those stops, that one with the stick, the one that's like the infamous picture.
Yeah.
Was just unbelievable.
Incredible.
And then the one Canadian player missing that wide open net.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been 7-1.
It could have been, because he did make some incredible saves, and they did miss a couple of wide open opportunities right in front of the net. So yeah, I mean, that's part of it, though. Luck is part of it. At that level, I mean, it's pretty much an all-star game, an NHL all-star game. And yeah, that was great hockey. And I don't enjoy hockey all that much unless I'm watching it live. That was great hockey.
They wanted to fight like you.
Oh, yeah,
too. But in
did.
international, it's a 10-minute game misconduct. You're out.
Yep, you're out.
That's everybody. A couple people asked me, why aren't they? Because if you remember the the 4 Nations tournament last year, there was 2 fights in the first 9 seconds of the finals between the American and the Canadians, but they used NHL rules for that. This is, and another reason the game is so exciting. It's a smaller rink.
Yes.
So it's a lot faster.
Yes.
I mean, for the first 10 minutes, I don't know how.
Man.
Well, hockey players don't stay on the ice for more than a minute and a half.
Right.
As it is.
In and off, in and off, in and off. Yep.
But still, that was some high hockey. And then Saturday was the first spring training game for the Braves.
Yeah. Yankees too are playing now.
And we finally have a TV provider.
Yeah.
The Braves took it over.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. It's Braves Vision is called.
Oh, very smart.
So we were kind of worried about that a little bit. MLB TV is what I would get, but I would have a hard time getting, it would be all the away. I'd get the feeds for the away. I wouldn't get the home feeds. And it's cheaper this year too. I think if I paid for all up front, it's $149 for the whole season.
For what?
162 games for every.
Oh, okay.
Except the ones that are on Apple and all that.
Right.
But it's every game for every team. And I get the minor league.
Oh, okay.
Stuff that's.
I think this is the future.
Yeah.
So you're paying to watch Atlanta Braves baseball.
Yes.
I think that's the future. I mean, we pay to watch Yankees
local,
because it's cable, but
it's not TBS anymore.
Yeah, right. And that's what it used to be. And that was golden for you because you could watch every game free. But it's coming. Everything will be streamed, and we're paying for it all. And it'll be a menu, and you pick from whatever. But it's coming.
Cool. It's cool engine, and you go up there, you can see all the scores, and
you
can hide them if you don't want to see the scores, and you can start the game over again if you want.
If
you go into it late, it's really, it's for me, it's worth it because I watch a lot of baseball.
Yeah, and that's your team, and you love it.
Yeah, I love the Braves. So, and I was just talking to our friend Steve Becker today. I'll be down to Atlanta with Mark.
Really?
Coming up soon. 3 weeks. Yeah. Spring breaks in 3 weeks.
Nice.
4 weeks, 3 weeks.
Wow.
Spring break.
That's good. That's good. Where you're going to Florida, right?
Yeah, we go. We start off in Summerfield, where my in-laws live, outside of Ocala, next to the Villages.
Oh, right.
So, but on the way down, Atlanta for a day, and then we'll stay with them for a day, and then Brandy's office is closing for remodel. And they're not opening up until Tuesday, the week after. So we're actually we probably won't be back until Monday.
Excellent. Wow.
Extended
Yeah, nice.
break.
I like it. All right, that's number 68 in the can, as we used to say. Thank
Next
you,
week, Mo Brown.
Yes, Mo is going to run against. We should get Mr. Magnarelli
Yes.
on as well. This is going to be interesting because I like Mr. Magnarelli.
I do. I've always
and I like Mo.
Yep.
So this will be interesting. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate that very much. We may have some announcements coming up soon about a couple of things, which are going to be very exciting, but we'll see. So take care of yourself, all right? Until next time, God willing, we're all back at it again here on the Jim Reith Show Unleashed podcast.